Things just took a major turn for the Milwaukee Bucks as we have a massive free agency update surrounding a long-time Buck that has fans fired up. We're to write down exactly what that report is and discuss what this means going forward, as well as break down some other interesting reports and notes coming out surrounding another Milwaukee Buck. A ton to go over today, folks. Things are really starting to pick up. But before we get into it all, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Bucks content. We're on the road to 5,000 subscribers. If you want to help us towards that goal, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot to go over today. Now, of course, we are in the point of the offseason where there's going to be a lot of moves about to happen. And of course, the Bucks are going to be at the center of that. Giannis trade talks, which have seemed to cool down a little bit. There's not only Giannis trade talk, the Bucks have a lot of players that they desperately need to figure out. Now, they have a few UFAs. Most of their roster is unfinished at this point. And of course, with Damian Lillard being at this moment, injured and he's going to be out for a while, they have a lot of holes to fill, especially if they're going to do what is rumored to be done and that is, of course, keep Giannis Antetokounmpo. Let's dive into a very new report here that just dropped yesterday, and this is surrounding Bobby Portis. So Bobby Portis, there's a bunch of new reports. We also have a new one from the day as well. Bobby Portis is reportedly expected to have numerous landing spots in the Warriors League. Now, of course, for Bobby Portis, it's kind of been just assumed that he was going to be returning to Milwaukee, and we'll dive into some reports that are backing that up as well. But as of the past couple days, there's been more and more reports linking not only the Warriors, but numerous teams to the Milwaukee Bucks, power forward. And it makes things very interesting. And in an offseason where the market for big men is, fairly weak, especially when it comes to free agents. Of course, there are some trade targets, Walker Kessler, Nick Claxton, guys like that, Daniel Gafford. But surrounding free agents, the Bucks have two of the big men that are going to be pretty highly touted, especially by teams like, the Lakers and other teams like that who need centers. Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis. So it's going to be interesting there. And let's dive into the article. So the Milwaukee Bucks forward, Bobby Portis Jr., who can decline his 2025-2026 player option, which he did and will be doing, is expected to have numerous potential landing spots in the mid-level market, per Jake Fisher of this for the Stein Line newsletter, who also noted the Warriors are a team that has potential interest, as team executives expect Portis to have numerous landing spots, although Milwaukee would like to bring back the forward. And Golden State has always been a team to monitor for Bobby Portis, who is a notable fan favorite. And of course, Kerr has a good relationship with Steve Kerr. Now, this is interesting. So, of course, it's expected for him, at least it initially was expected for Bobby Portis to return to Milwaukee. Fan favorite, loves the city of Milwaukee, has been here for a while. Great sixth man. And especially now that, the Bucks don't really, with Brook Lopez being a free agent as well, you don't really have a ton of depth on this team. So you'd assume that you want to keep as much depth as they can around. The flip side of that is, and it's pretty interesting here, the Bucks also are probably going to want to change their DNA a little bit, because if the Bucks aren't going for a championship next season, or at least they're going to be going for a championship if they keep Giannis, but if they don't think that they can win it with the group that they've had, there's a good chance that they at least, not blow it up, but blow up the part that, they're familiar with. That's let Brook Lopez walk, maybe let Bobby Portis walk, sign some new guys in, see if you can change the culture a little bit, because I think Bobby Portis is very good at times, and he's good at what he does. There was a lot of discourse last season throughout the regular season about whether Bobby Portis was affecting this team positively or negatively, how bad the Bucks were at times with Bobby Portis off the floor, how bad his defense was. So it's not like, Bucks fans are unfamiliar with the conversation of letting him walk or trading him, and he was a huge talking point of the trade deadline last year. People wanted him gone, especially during the early season struggles, and the Bucks started 2-8. However, the Warriors now, they're a clear fit. There are teams out there that are going to be eager to get a guy like Bobby Portis, being able to have a six-man who can come in, rebound, score 10, 15 points a game. Like, those are hard to come by, especially in this year's free agency market, and the Warriors would be a pretty good fit for the veteran. You see this here from Brett Siegel. He doubles down on the report, saying this isn't new, and the Warriors have had long interest in Bobby Portis well before this year's trade deadline, as we reported at Clutch Points. So their interest isn't new, but their interest is going to be more elevated at this moment. It's going to be more elevated at this moment, especially given the fact that, again, the market, I'm going to keep saying because it's true, the free agent market for centers is a little bit weak. You have, of course, a bunch of different avenues to go if you're the Bucks. I don't know exactly how the Bucks are going to be able to, we don't know yet how they're going to work around, what they have here. But surrounding Portis, he's 30 years old. He's not super old, but he's been in the NBA for a while, averaging 14 points last year. 14 and 8 last year. Very, very good. We know he missed 25 games for violating the anti-drug program. Of course, again, it was supposedly unintentional. I'm not going to dive into that in this video here. But in his time in Milwaukee, as we know, Portis has been one of the best NBA reserves. Of course, he's going to garner free agency interest. And I can guarantee you it's not just the Warriors as well. Like, most teams that want to win and are want a bench big man are going to be going out looking for Bobby Portis. I don't think he's going to get a crazy, payday. I think ultimately he'll probably remain in Milwaukee, but there's a real good chance now that he does go elsewhere because of interest from other teams, because of the Bucks' stance on Giannis Antetokounmpo. Of course, the Damian Lillard situation. Like, I think they want to go younger, the Milwaukee Bucks, next year. Try to get, some sort of flyer in free agency. And I mean, at the end of the day, in order for the Bucks, they have one pick they can really trade, the 2031 first. Like, that's going to be the most valuable pick that they have. If they want to go out and trade and maybe make a big move and try to acquire somebody to help build around Giannis next season and into, beyond that, because Dame's going to be out most of the year, if not all the year. There's avenues to go here. There's, of course, avenues to go. Though, again, Jake Weinbach reported a few days ago, contradicting a little bit, the Brett Siegel and the other guys' report, saying Bobby Portis, who has a $13 million play option coming up, is expected to return to the Bucks. There's common belief that Portis, a fan favorite in the city, will either opt into his current deal or sign a new long-term extension and remain in Milwaukee. So there's been a lot of conflicting reports here. And, of course, this is a $16 million contract. There's been some reports that he's going to decline and opt out of his current deal and then sign a new extension with Milwaukee. I don't think he's going to pick up that $13.4 million player option. I think he's either going to hit the open market where he can probably get that amount or more on a longer term, or he's going to sign maybe a discounted longer term deal with Milwaukee. I don't see a world where he picks up the player option, and there's been a lot of rumblings about that because I don't think that, a lot of the rumblings lately is that he's going to decline his player option, essentially. And I mean, at this point, he is the starting center for, the Milwaukee Bucks, assuming they let Brook Lopez walk, who we'll dive into in a minute. And the team doesn't have a lot of depth. I mean, Kevin Porter Jr., Gary Trent Jr., there's no, for sure world he comes back. I think he does. Kyle Kuzma, Giannis, Bobby Portis. We know Giannis and Bobby Portis have a good relationship as well. Just a lot of things, going on. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on these Giannis or these Bobby Portis Jr. rumors, because reports are flying, and I think that this is a very intriguing one. But let's also dive into something that also directly correlates to that, and that's an article I dropped breaking down why Brook Lopez shouldn't return to the Milwaukee Bucks. It's time for Milwaukee Bucks to part ways with their center. I want to see what you guys think. Let me know down below right now. Do you want to see Brook Lopez return? And between Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez, who would you rather return? Obviously, Brook Lopez much older. He's 37 years old, and he's looking for one last contract before he retires. He's played well for the Bucks. We know this, but he's going to be a free agent, as is Bobby Portis, assuming he opts out of his player option. I think it makes sense for both sides to part ways from Brook Lopez. Yes, he fits well with Giannis in the sense of being able to stretch the floor, but he's slow. He got abused in the pick and roll. And I'd rather them use, Jericho Sims as the backup center. I don't think Jericho Sims can be a starting center, but maybe they start Jericho Sims and hope that he has a breakout. I mean, there is a chance that happens as well. And they let both Bobby and Brook Lopez walk. But I think for Brook Lopez, he's probably gone. And, we'll have more videos covering it. There's lots of teams interested. But between him and, Bobby Portis, let me know. Would you rather Lopez? Would you rather, Portis, and why? Because Bobby is a very good player, but again, a very interesting one. And you look at his stats here before I wrap up, very consistent since joining Milwaukee back in the, the COVID shortened year. So very interesting, an unbelievable six-man. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.